And I'll admit them. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, welcome. Everybody, as you're coming in, welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello, beautiful souls. If you're comfortable to have your videos on, it is lovely to see people's faces. No pressure, but if you feel comfortable.
I'm just letting some more in. Beaming here to you from 9 a.m. London time. And I know lots of you are Australians, so you've got the end of the day. It's perfect the way we work together. This is, I think, on some level, Edwina and I's zone of genius is that we bring together, very different energies. We are very different people, and yet there's just this balance that takes place. And today, one of the things that I'd like to step into quite immediately is to just say, how are you feeling on this moon? This is a really potent moment. It's the only supermoon of this year. That means it will look bigger. But there's a lot going on with it. And it would be very interesting if any of you just want to hop in right at the beginning and just say, where are you and how are you feeling about this? I see somebody's unmuted. Janice, was that a call to say something?
No, I just hadn't muted it.
Oops. Oops.
Oops. Well, hello everybody anyway.
Where are you?
I'm from Australia. I live in Victoria, Northern Victoria, up near the Murray River. So
welcome.
Thank you.
A beautiful part of the country.
It is.
So I'm going to mute you. And does anybody else want to pop on in and just open up? Maria, come in.
Hello, I'm Maria. I'm in Brisbane, but I know Inarra from Europe since 24 years or so. So yeah, I could feel this full moon energy very strong, and I still feel it a bit. I released some yesterday over the weekend. I feel just some irritation and frustration and the intensity, but I know what it is, so I try to deal with it. Because I have so many reasons to be joyful. And then I think, why am I so frustrated? So I know it's the moon. That's how I feel a bit.
Well, no, thank you for sharing, my dear old friend from 24 years. I saw you recently, actually. Maria came over to do the summer solstice retreat that I ran in Cornwall, all the way from Australia. And so we've had a reunion recently and worked for many years. But you've hit something there. This is a highly electric charged moon. And there are some things about it which are exactly that, frustrating. The topic of reinvention is very strong with this moon. And so when you're trying to reinvent yourself and you're having a lot of, flux that's going on in your mind, what we need to do is come out of the mind, actually. And I'm going to do a little bit of that with the activation today. But we're all in our heads trying to figure it out. Like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to do it? When are we supposed to do it? And it is like this, frenetic. So it's one of the moons where we need to get into our body and get out of our heads. And absolutely, there's so much to be joyful. So thank you for sharing that. Hafa. Anybody else would like to hop in just while we begin, while people are coming in at all? Say how you're feeling.
Hi, Inarra. I'm Justine. I'm on a cattle station in central Queensland in Australia as well.
Woo! that sounds amazing. I'm going to bring you in. A cattle station, it sounds very remote. I don't know whether it is.
It's reasonably remote. We have 3 cattle stations, 1 super remote. But where I'm living at the moment is not very remote.
Okay. Yeah, so how's it going for you?
Yeah, good. I'm very conscious of the full moon energy. Yeah. Didn't sleep a lot last night, but I know what that like. It's just, yeah, full moon.
You feeling any particular themes coming up for you right now?
Just a letting go and then a pushing forward.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's the death and rebirth piece that's coming into this moon. So you're in the perfect place. And thank you for popping up, being brave and sharing.
Thank you.
I'm originally from Holland, but I live in Victoria. I'm close to my dear friend Edwina. And it's my birthday today, 51. The energy is crazy. It's I had a massive clearing of some very old stuff that has really ruled my life subconsciously. So when Edwina called me to say this is on tonight, I think this is absolutely perfect. I'm relaxing on the couch, just lying down and ready for the new stuff, the good stuff.
Perfect.
I think it's fun to share that I just did, for those that were in the last masterclass that I just did with Emerge, I shared a story of 2 families. There were 3 of women who connected with our 10 children, and we raised our children together. And Wendy is one of those women. She's one of my dearest and closest no filter friends. And this is the first time she's ever joined anything that I've done for work. So this is Wendy coming into my other life. So hello, darling. It's so lovely to see you. And happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I think it's probably a good time that we bring it in and bring it together to have Edwina talk a little bit about who she is, and I can talk a little bit about who I am, so that we can bring you in to this conversation.
Yeah, look, I feel like the most important thing to share in that is relevant to this conversation and what we're doing tonight is the differences between Inarra and I, and why we've come together to start creating the work that we're creating in the world. And Inarra's got a really long, since birth, connection to spirit and this side of connecting to the moons and the cycles and this very spiritual way of being. Whereas for me, it feels like a much, much newer journey. Even when back in the days when I was studying naturopathy, I remember one of my lecturers, it was encouraging me to do subjects in homeopathy as well. And I was like, if I can't see it and I can't touch it, I don't understand it. And so connection to spirit in my mind was always the Christian God. I went to a Church of England school where we sat in our very neat uniforms in chapel, and from my experience, received lots of reasons why I should feel bad about myself, and that I was, heading to hell rather than heaven. And it was, for me, the experience of connecting to spirit was kind of a scary thing. It wasn't something that I really wanted anything to do with. And so it was only I think since having my own children that I've started to really understand what spirit is for me, and what being connected to the cycles of the moons and the seasons. And, I've always had a very strong connection to the natural world and to what I feel is the divine intelligence of Mother Nature. But I didn't have the language. I didn't have the understanding until I really started to interview people and work with different coaches and find this sort of connection for myself. So for those that are newer to the idea of spirit and what that means for you, my reason for sharing that is that we're all starting at our own starting place. You know, we're all starting from where we're starting from, and having this beautiful connection to the natural world and to, you know, being aligned with the moons and the cycles and the natural rhythms of the world, you can embrace this in your own way and make it your journey. The beauty of this work is there's no rule book. There's nobody that's going to give you an F or an A or say you pass and therefore you can go through the doorway. This is you choosing your life, your direction, your path. And that's what makes it so special, because it is unique for you. So I feel like that's probably the most important thing to share for the purpose of this class.
Well, thank you. And I'll add to that that's absolutely right, that I was born curious with the realm of the spiritual from the outset. And often people who talk to me, or clients who work with me, because technically I'm a spiritual business coach. So a lot of my focus, even though I've got this vast array in the spiritual realm, is bringing it into the material world and working with mostly women and some men to manifest their big visions. So for me, spirit is not just some airy fairy, wafty, floaty, you know, pink unicorns and all of that kind of vibe. It's actually right timings, hunches, gut instinct, being moved this way. And so I indeed had a life that was very much looking at the spiritual all the way up until I was pretty much 39. And at 39, some significant things happened. And in short, I collided with big business. I had no interest in business at all. I was a hippie, weed smoking, photographer, traveler who would take loads of pictures, and that was my identity. And everybody knew me as this kind of hippie, nice vibe woman who would do yoga, and I was a yoga teacher and all of this. But when I collided with big business, it was a shock to me as well. It was like, this is what I'm meant to do. And somehow the messages, if you like, from spirit were, I'm meant to work in this very strange realm. On the one hand, deeply spiritual, following and flowing all of that. And on the other hand, it's like bringing this energy into business now, or into people's projects or lives, for them to, we really need to, you know, bring some good energy to this world. And this was how I was shown how to do it. And when I originally did do it, I was mentioning recently in a live that I got a lot of flack. There were people who in the spiritual world were, how can you possibly dirty the purification realm with the word business or money? And then the others were in business, where how can you possibly bring in this wafty, you know, kind of stuff? And I had to stand my ground, like, for years, and be the one who said, nope, sorry, I actually think you can run the best business ever, which will support the people, the planet, and the animals, if it's got spiritual intention and integrity behind it. So I find myself bridging two big realms now, and I'm very confident with it now, because I had so much flack in the past. I had to, you know, kind of put up with criticism. But I want to give you a context for this, that for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions, we all humans operated by the moon. It was time itself. When you look at the root words of month, moon, menstruation, they are integrally connected, the roots of them. And all things moved by the moon. And then you had another layer that all things move by the moon. So, you know, in Native American Indian language, they say, you know, in many moons or 3 moons from now, we'll meet and we'll do something. The whole world ran like that, including all the masculine energy. All the men were governed by the moon as well. The word lunatic is, or lunatic is really lunar. You know, you're connecting in with the craziness of the full moon. There are more accidents, there are more interruptions of life on the full moon because of the energy. And in the yoga path that I took, which is Ashtanga yoga, and it's very, very ancient, at least 5,000 years old, you did not practice on the full moon or the new moon. And so there was an interruption to your, because the energy was shifting. And when I asked Patabi Joyce, who is the famous guru of Ashtanga, he said, there are accidents possible as the energy is shifting direction. Then let's bring in the farmers, the ancient farmers' almanac, who had distinctions of when to plant, of when to harvest, etc. on the moon. New moon was the time to plant, and you would get better crops if you did that. So there was a sort of logic and even heading towards a kind of science of it. And biodynamic farming is all done with the moon. How do you get the better crops, the organic nature? So the moon is not airy-fairy at all. It's a really solid piece of, if you lean into it, as I was saying to Edwina earlier, when you start to understand the depth of the teachings of it, and you might start to want to do things a little bit and test it out with the moon, then what happens is, then the moon starts working with you. So I have no doubt or surprise that this landed on this moon. It's like, you know, Edwina and I didn't plan this at all. We had no intention that was out there for this. And voila, you know, here we are and here you are. And that little piece about the moon, I also want to give you this, that after, let's say, even millions of years, you know, I was a history scholar, so that was one of the reasons that I dip into the history of this all the time, to give you a little bit of the credibility of the story about this, that everything worked by the moon. So we're talking like the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans. When Christ cropped up, everything was done by the moon. It was understood that women, without the light that we have now, all the electric light, women would menstruate at the same time. There would be large groups of women having the same experience. So they would menstruate on the dark of the moon. That's the day before the new moon. Would be the 3 days before they would menstruate. The energy was very internal. It was like a gathering, and you would go into sanctuary, often with your sisters. And it was the time that was known best for receiving messages and divination. So, you know, different ancient forms of reading signals and signs for the community or the tribe. And guess who listened to those messages? All the men. Because all the women were all menstruating and hanging out together. All the men were listening and understanding what are the instincts, what are the messages that are coming through at this time. So the men were equally as affected, not quite as strongly in the feely way, but definitely in terms of, you know, what is actually happening at this time. Oh, the women are saying this, and women were prophetic, and they often came up with, you know, there are all these prophecies that are known forever, the Sibyls, etc. Men listened to those prophecies to make decisions in the masculine world. And then when you got to the full moon, this was ovulation time. And so vast groups of women in tribes ovulating had certain behaviors. And it was definitely like, let's get it on, because they were all sexy and they were feeling like, woo, babies in the air. And so again, why we have still the resonance of that as full moon parties, say in Thailand or all of that, is because it's party time. Moon is when it's full, is gathering energy, and it wants you to express at your highest level. And so it's not inward at all like the new moon or dark moon, it's outward. And so we're stepping into this big outward manifestation moment of the moon. And today I just wanted to read you a little bit from one of my favorite books called Wild Witches Don't Get the Blues. And it's by this wonderful woman, Fiona Morgan. And I refer to whenever I want to know what's happening on a particular moon. So today we've got moon in Aquarius. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the Northern or Southern Hemisphere, it's all moon in Aquarius. So I just want to give you a little bit of information about what this is about. This is a time of dealing with facts, organizing, political issues, a desire to save the world through social action, connecting with others in social situations, scientific pursuits, detachment, and the need to come and go without any restriction. Aquarius moon's monthly transit is a dramatic mood change. Aquarius indicates anything new, innovative, different, or unconventional. Extremes of behavior occur during this moon, especially extremes of optimism and pessimism. Just could everybody mute, please? Women feel the need to be friendly and social, but don't want to be too personal or go too deep. That's too bad. We're going deep today. Aquarius can be detached, rational rather than emotional, and will change, but only if it's logical to do so. Aquarius is definitely her sister's keeper. She believes what happens to one woman happens to us all. Freedom is very important, and she needs to live with as few restrictions as possible. Groups play a big part in Aquarius moon and favors any kind of group interaction, such as a ritual. Be prepared for an electric full moon on a warm, clear August night, brightest moon of the year. Anything can happen. Expect the unpredictable. So that is the part energy of what's going on today. And I would add in the word reinvention, because this is, for all the different aspects of this moon, that's just the Aquarius moon that you've just heard about, but there are other astrological and spiritual insights that are going on right now, which the word reinvention is the word that I would give you for this. And so maybe, Edwina, how are you feeling in the world of reinvention?
I just I just feel so excited. I've talked a lot over recent months about this transition period for me, where my youngest child finished school at the end of last year, and doing the work that I do in the world and showing up the way that I do. I so want to tell everybody that I've got this 5-minute checklist for you, and it's, like next week you will be a completely different person. But the reality is that this is an unfurling. If you've been accumulating ways of being and thoughts and beliefs and messaging about who you are and your role in the world and what your potential is and all these different pieces, releasing what no longer serves you, changing your identity, reinventing who you are in the world now, it takes time. It takes going through these periods of winter. The autumn is the letting go. It's like, who have I been? What are the thoughts? What are the processes? What are the energies, the beliefs that I'm hanging on to that I just keep dragging along with me? It's like when you move house and you pack up everything you own and plonk it down in the new house, and 3/4 of it can stay in boxes for months because you never use it, but you just keep dragging it with you. It's no different to what we do in our internal lives. It's like, well, I was told at school that I wasn't creative and I couldn't sing and I couldn't draw and so I'm not creative. And we drag these beliefs with us for years, years and years and years. And there's this opportunity that's presenting itself to you all the time. But there's an opportunity right now with this supermoon, and we're moving into a new season. There is so much that has been gifted to you through the work that we've done in my masterclass, through Inarra and I's beautiful podcast, just through this space, to plant the seeds of possibility, to look at what are the things that really aren't serving me. And they can be little things and great big things. It can be relationships that you've had with a parent or a sibling for years that just is like a scab that you keep picking at. It's like, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep carrying this through with me. It's beliefs about yourself and what's possible for you. If there are things that are holding you back, if you've got dreams in your heart, I promise with every fiber of my being, they were put there for a reason. You can convince yourself that it's not for you. Or you can look at it and say, if when I think about this, it lights me up and it brings me joy, it's for me. What am I going to do with it? This is a life that is here for living, not existing. You're not here because you want to exist and just get through another day hanging on. It's like, it's Monday. It's Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Like we can do that for years. Another day. If you're living your life for something that's coming in the future, that's information. That's feedback. What do you need to feel alive today, right now, here? Having this connection with a group of women right now for me is my bliss. It wasn't always that way. Years of bullying at school and toxic female relationships. It's like the idea of being in a group of women was like, yeah, no thanks. But that was about me, not about everybody else. Now, doing the work, it's like, hello, my sisters. Hello, beautiful women. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? What are we creating? I keep talking about the Dalai Lama said the women of the world will be saved by women of the Western world, or, like I keep butchering that slightly. What does that mean? Are you part of that? What it means to me is that we get to show the world what it looks like to be really loving, to be really compassionate, to be really connected and kind and generous. This is the world that I live in. These are the women that I talk to. And we're supporting each other. You've got a dream on your heart. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, let's do it. That's mad. The madder, the better. Wendy and I often have conversations. It's like, call me anything but normal. For heaven's sakes, don't call me normal. I don't want to be normal. Like it's the audacity to think, what if? So what are the things that you get to let go of? Don't leave. You get to set the intention that you're not going to leave this call going through this beautiful activation that Inarra is going to do with us. This is a gift that is like, Inarra is this extraordinary wealth of unbelievable wisdom that she's giving to us tonight, supporting us to take this step of transition. And I am so excited and feel the absolute privilege of being here in this room. with you guys, with Inarra, to do this work. And it's like, what am I leaving behind? I've got my baggage. It's staying on that side. I'm going this way. So just pick that thing. What is it? What's that thing that's like, I'm done. Enough. Thank you for coming. Now thank you for going. Inarra, I'm very good at getting on a roll. This is your space.
I don't know. Thank you for that honoring. That's just really, it doesn't happen very often that women just speak like this, except I would say in ceremonial circles, and that's an area that I'm very familiar with. And there's a couple of things I want to just mention that you mentioned. One is that piece about going into, oh, it's Monday, and then it's, oh my God, it's Tuesday, and then it's Wednesday, is exactly what the modern calendar was meant to do. And there was a chap called Gregory, and I can imagine Gregory was one of the most anal figures in human history. He was the one who saw this lunar activity and everybody, including all the men, operating with the moon. And I don't know the exact date of this, but it's probably around 200 AD. Gregory decides we're going to change the calendar. We are not going to work on the moons anymore because of all those pagans who are doing it, because of all those women-oriented tribes, because of the power with women, because in that the women are it's female-centric, and it's got a very strong potency for men to go listen to women, definitely at the dark and the full. There's a reason for that. And so he comes up with it was a church edict that came up with this, and it was like, we're going to get rid of the lunar. We're going to get rid of people working on the moon. And so that is what the calendar system is that we've got right now. Everything is meant to be pretty much the same. You get up, you do your thing, that's corporate America. You burn out, you work hard, and then if you're very, very good, you can have a day off. Right. And then if you carry the extension of that, if you're very, very good and you've saved your money and not used any of it on you your whole life, then you retire and you're allowed to break into your savings. And there's evidence that men die 2 years after retirement. Right. It's like that old model. So I'm really not aligned with that old model. And when I feel how I feel about life and I have events that take place on moons. So yeah, it's a Monday. Oh my God, great. Yay. It's like Monday's fantastic. And actually Monday comes Moon Day. Sunday was Sunday. And this was the attempt to still have a piece of the gods and goddesses who used to be connected to different energies. They are still named, and it's the Vikings who brought us the namings of this. So, Thursday is Thor Day, Friday is Freya Day. And it was an attempt to bring back this kind of lunar vibe. But really, Gregory, I can just imagine it was like, finally, we've got them all organized, in his way. And I feel the excitement of moons, and I initiate things on new moons, and I do the work of sanctuary on dark moons, and then I do big things on the full moon, and it breaks down all of that dull and boring, calendar that we're just all doing the same thing. And then if you're a very good person, you get a day off or something. So there is an excitement about this, like women gathering on moons is really ancient. And where Edwina and I are leading this, and we're going to have a conversation after the activation, is that we are running a program called The Doorway. And you may have heard us mention this before, both of us in our respective zones. But I cannot be more excited to be working with Edwina. We've sort of watched each other for years. And finally come together, and it's so easy. It's like we are so different on some level, and we're so aligned. And so the doorway is really going to be a program where we take you through an initiation of your wild intuition. And we've moved it to September the 27th, and I'll go into more detail about it after for those who want to hear about it. But it really is because the timing is so absolutely perfect. For you in the Southern Hemisphere right now, the symbolism with this moon right here, and what you're doing is you would have gathered all your information, you have been marinating through winter, you have been like a brew, just receiving information. And it's not quite time to plant. It's like, this is the reflection time, and it's the death and rebirth time. So you will be looking at things that have to be chopped in order to plant. So it's like a pruning of the idea before the planting takes place. And us in the Northern Hemisphere, we have just come through Lamas, or the ancient festival of the harvest. And this is Lunar Lamas today. And that means it's lunar harvest moon. And what that gives you as a symbol is you are meant to look at this year that we've gone through and to really notice all the thoughts, all the intentions, all the actions, what got produced, what was the results of your desires, where are you? Like, it's a real moment of like, where are you? Are you happy with what you've created? And some of those thoughts will have been from 10 years ago. Some of those thoughts will have been 2 years ago, all rolling and merging, coming together to produce the harvest of this year. And then with the harvest, there is a chopping. And the symbol of that is that you can't let a harvest go too far over its peak. This is like rotten energy, right? And you know that if you're in the farming world, if you don't harvest something when it's in perfection, then it goes rotten. And there's a very ancient analogy to that it's specific to do with masculine energy, masculine leaders who hang on too long, who don't give it to the next generation or give it to the younger, more vibrant leader. Older leaders at that point of harvest, you're supposed to go off and do your other thing, which is spaciousness and spiritual contemplation. But what we see examples of in the world is grasping old men, hanging in there, like, but they're way over their harvest. So you can imagine if you hang on to a relationship that needs to end, or in a cycle of the way you've behaved, it's no longer working. Or there's something that, like even a diet that you just need, and you know it, that there's something that you need to let go of, right? This is that time to do that. So there's a big chopping energy with it. You don't have to know it all because it'll come up in the activation. And the other bit is after that, there's spaciousness. Right after a harvest, there's an empty field. And we are meant to contemplate. This is the feminine. Once you've done all of this work, which is the masculine energetic of mastery, to create the harvest, then there needs to be reflection, because you're not straight back to work. It's like, no, actually, we're in this spaciousness. And so today, those are the two energies. There's death and rebirth, there's pruning, there's being very honest with yourself about your values and saying, if this is not aligned, it's got to go. So that is some precursors to getting ready for the actual activation. Are you ready for that now? If anybody needs to go for a quick pee or change or get something warm or whatever you need, this is a good moment to do that. You don't need to know anything about what's going to go on. I'm going to just take out my singing chalice, and Find a comfortable spot. If you want to lie down, please feel free to do that. It's not about being awake. It's about going into a nice, deep sanctuary. And for those of you who've never experienced anything like this, welcome. You're in for a treat. This is not planned. Anything that I do now is not planned. I'm just going to go into a certain zone and then I'll receive the visualization that will go on. But finding a comfortable space, taking some deep breaths. Allow yourself to breathe in very deeply, feeling your belly move. And exhale. And another one of those. Deep breath in, moving the belly. And exhale. And one more of those. Deep breath in. And exhale. And imagine if you were breathing through every cell of your body. Breathing through the soles of your feet. Breathing through the top of your head. Breathing through the back of your heart. Start to become aware of that possibility of just breathing through every cell in your body. And as you allow the breath in, it's clearing and cleansing every cell of your body. And feeling the new energy moving between the cells in your body. Allow yourself to feel dense areas starting to move and flow. Any constrictions that you feel new light, new energy moving into that density. And then imagining that you're in a very beautiful place in nature. And it doesn't matter where that nature is. It could be anywhere on the planet. But you find yourself in this beautiful place in nature. And you recognize in it that it's got all the ingredients that you love. So if you love mountains, there are mountains. If you love the ocean, there's the ocean. If you love desert, there's desert. You can be anywhere that you need to be and experiencing nature at this very high level. All the ingredients there that you absolutely love. And allowing yourself to look out into nature and observing the colors that you see. And as you are breathing through every cell of your body, now breathing those colors in, all the colors that you're seeing in this beautiful scene, you're breathing in those colors and you feel revitalized. Allowing yourself to soften and smelling the scent on the air of this beautiful place. Notice if you can smell the ocean salt or flowers or the earth herself. Feel the gentle breeze blowing your hair, blowing the back of your body. And everything you feel is content and peaceful. And as you look down at the earth to see where you are standing, you notice that you have bare feet. And you also notice that you are naked. And the feeling that you have is both immense freedom and immense safety. This beautiful combination of absolute freedom to be who you are and absolute safety in being who you are. And breathing into that energy, feeling how powerful that is in your nature spot. And beneath your feet, you notice there is a pathway going off into nature. And you feel the pull of following this path. You don't need to know where you're going. You're just completely relaxed in the knowing that you are going. And so, footstep by footstep, you carefully tread this path. And walking along, feeling the perfect temperature on your naked skin, feeling the pleasure that you get from being naked. And as you walk into that nature scene, you notice in the distance that there is a hill, and that the path seems to curve around the hill, moving towards the right, but you can't quite see what's on the other side. And as you go round the hill, you see right in the middle of a clearing, there is a beautiful pool of water with wisps of steam coming up. And as you move towards it, this is an ancient sacred rock pool. The waters in it are magical, and you are invited in. You see that there are some little stone stairs going down into this beautiful ancient pool, and you feel compelled to walk down and then plunge yourself into this beautiful, heated, natural spring pool, and then laying back, allowing your hair to flow in all directions and feeling the waters moving over your body. You are so buoyant that you're able to just breathe and float while looking up to the sky. And then you shut your eyes and you realize that the water, being magical water, is not just moving on the outside of your body, but is actually flowing through your body. It's flowing through all the cells, replenishing and cleansing them. And you are experiencing a purification. Your only job is to ask yourself, is there a part of my body where I'm feeling dense or heavy or constriction? And if there is, then start to breathe into that part of your body. And rather than pushing any of those uncomfortable feelings away, instead allow yourself to breathe in to the constriction, amplifying it. So if there is an area which might feel anxious or angry or frustrated, even rage, all of these dense constrictions are appropriate. And just allowing yourself to breathe in to that frustration, amplifying it, allowing it to expand in your body. Allowing yourself, if you feel sad, to feel the sadness. And the waters are just flowing through these areas, clearing and cleansing. So with each current, as it moves through you, you allow all of the energy to dissipate, and it flows out into the pool. And as this process takes place, you just experience these emotions and allow them to be there until they start to move with the waters. And once the first phase of purification takes place, and you feel that something has moved, you feel beneath you a whirlpool, as if there is a spin in the water right beneath you. And as you feel the power of this spinning current, which is spinning anti-clockwise, your whole body starts to spin and turn, moving anti-clockwise in the pool. And it feels delicious. There's this wonderful feeling of just letting go into the water and being spun in a beautiful rhythmic way. Your hair is moving all around you and you feel this gentle spin, which is so delightful. You laugh. You feel this playful energy coming up as somebody is spinning you. It feels like being on a swing where somebody is spinning you or pushing you and you have no control. But it is absolutely delightful and fun. And as you feel this spinning off of all the old energies that you have brought with you to this pool, gradually with the spinning, it starts to slow down again until you find yourself lounging and laying in this completely buoyant water. And then you feel there is a guardian of this place who enters this space. You have your eyes shut, but you feel a kindly, warm presence who has come to tend to your needs. It may be an animal. It may be a mythological being. It may be a simple woman who is standing on the side of the pool who has come to tend to you. But you feel in very safe hands when you feel the first touch on your shoulder. And this is a reassuring touch to say, there's nothing that you need to do, I'm here. And your guardian drops a drop of water directly on your third eye. And as it lands, this water starts to move and clear anything that is in your third eye. You feel as if there is a heavy oil in your brain space. And with this light drop of water, an activation starts to happen that the oil that is contained in your brain starts to glide gradually down, as if a jug is being emptied. It moves all the way down through the third eye as you breathe naturally, all the way down through the throat and the jaw, all the way down through the upper chest, all the way down through the heart space. You feel this oil, like a jug of oil just emptying, all the way down through your solar plexus, and then all the way down through your belly, through womb space, all the way down below that to the base chakra. And you feel this oil just dissipating as if it's flowing down your legs and out into the water. The guardian asks you to consider now, what are your 3 top values? What are your 3 top values? And as you lay in this space, and you will remember this, the 3 values that make life itself vibrant and worth living, those are the values that you innately feel coming into your consciousness. The guardian then asks you, is there anything that is not aligned with your three top values that you are either doing, that you are in a relationship with, that you are in a business with, that you are in a diet with, that something of your behavior does not align to these values that are so dear to you? And you allow yourself to notice what might be out of alignment. The guardian then drops a substance onto your third eye, which feels like a thick, glutinous oil. And as it dissipates throughout the whole of your mind, you feel a clearing. And you understand the drain or the weight of these misalignments. And you can consciously in your mind now say, I am going to let this go. So allowing yourself now to speak out loud if you are on mute, to speak the things that you want to let go of, to allow yourself to take a moment to really say, I am letting this go. It is no longer aligned for me. And taking note of what comes up. And then, as if you feel an ocean wave roaring across the top of this pool, there is a complete clearing of the energy. A huge wave, like a mini tsunami, runs over you. And with it, you feel the excitement of the cleansing. And the guardian says it's time to go now, and helps you start to get out of the pool, coming all the way back up the little stone staircase. And there helps you dry off. There's a beautiful robe waiting for you. Notice the color of the robe, that after you have been dried, there is this exquisite robe made of the most artisan fabric. It may have symbols on it, but you are invited now to put this robe on. And you thank the guardian and you embrace, and the guardian points you to the path which leads off from the pool into the distance. And you start walking barefoot, this time with your robe, feeling much lighter, feeling completely relaxed as you walk off into the nature, your perfect nature. And then in the distance, you see a field of wheat waving in the wind, that beautiful geometric kind of shape in the field as it waves. And you feel compelled to walk towards the field. The sun is low in the sky, and the sunset light is beaming down in rays all over this wheat field. And it is exquisite. You stop in front of it and you feel the sheer joy of the harvest. And in your mind, just like the wheat having reached its peak point, you also feel that there are certain things that you have done well. And this is a time to celebrate these beautiful projects, expressions, things that are so in tune with your values that you know, yes, I did that. And as you look out over the wheat field, you are able to acknowledge what this year has been about. What has been the theme for you? And wherever there is a theme, there's a natural next step. As we move in cycles, there is something that is being uttered to you, something that is being required of you, something that is a next level expression. And you feel with all the confidence that you have, this lights me up. This is my next journey. This is a natural extension of what I've been up to. And you feel this next level of reinvention. That what has been, taking the things that you've let go and combining them with the harvest that you have created for yourself. Now what? And allow yourself to really experience the now what. And as you watch in the field, a group of men dressed in tribal gear come with those ancient scythes, those hooked scythes, and start cutting the wheat. And they are very swift. And from the position that you are watching, all the wheat in front of you is cut down in minutes. And they are singing ancient songs, happy in their work. But they come across the entire vista and they cut down the harvest. And there is a joy in this, pure joy of witnessing this cycle, that this has been done. And what is left is this spaciousness, this huge space in front of you. As you look out across the empty field, you start to see the full moon rising. This beautiful golden red moon, which is the Lamas moon, reminding you of what is to come. And with devotion to yourself, devotion to your values, devotion to your path, you allow yourself to step into the empty field and receive. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. And as you watch that beautiful moon rising in the sky, you feel completely in tune with this reawakening. So starting to bring your hands together, allow yourself to rub your palms. Generating heat. And then placing your palms over your closed eyes, breathing in. And exhale. And then another one of those. Placing your palms over your closed eyes, breathing in. And exhale. And one more of those. Placing them over your closed eyes, breathing in. And exhale. And you can rub your scalp, back of your head, back of your neck, jaw, heart, solar plexus, belly, womb, sides of the body, back of the body, kidneys, and then brushing your legs, brushing the energy down the legs. And then when you feel ready and taking your time, coming into the space, just allowing yourself to re-enter the space. So maybe we can bring Edwina in at this point. So how was that for you?
Oh, just so blissful. Which bit? Standing on the top of a mountain, and there's just this vista of snow and greenery coming through, and a bright, bright azure sky, the green, the blue, the white, the brown of the trunk. I could smell like the clean air. It was just this, and to go down into this pool and the spinning, that was really interesting. That was beautiful. That cleansing of being in the water. And then my guides and the robe. Oh, bliss. So beautiful.
What color was your robe?
It was gold, and it had a big hood that came over it and a tiger.
Ooh, I love it.
A tiger on the back. And then the walking down to the wheat field, and the men doing the harvest, and the sound, I could hear that kind of tribal sound of the harvesting of the wheat. And then the beautiful, that cleared vista as the moon came up. Oh, Inarra, what a gift. Thank you. Beautiful. So special.
So for anybody else, would you like to tell us anything about your experience? It's great to have some people Speak it. Don't be shy.
I kept drifting off. I kept really deep. My body is exhausted, emotionally really exhausted at the moment. I've let go of something massive today, and I'm still processing that. So I just felt like there's a cold, warm, hard to describe air that just goes through my body and just out. And it's like you're breathing out really deep. That makes sense. It's that feeling. And I just kept drifting off with that. The absolute exhaustion is just sort of leaving my body, but feeling the exhaustion, but it's leaving. So it's a refreshing exhaustion that I feel, if that makes sense. No, it sounds a bit weird, but so the visualization came in and out all the time, but it was really a big sensation that I could feel. And that was really beautiful. Thank you.
Pleasure, birthday girl. I think the thing is, it's like a lot of people learn different ways. I mean, Edwina is highly visual, so she sees everything. For some people, they don't see anything. They just experience, they can experience their nature in different ways, you know? And for you, it doesn't matter. You're clear something has started to leave. It's like you've opened that doorway
Yeah.
for that to take place. Part of this work is you don't have to know anything. You don't have, there's no getting it right. It takes place, and a lot of it is energetic healing. So we've now opened something for you all to experience that shift and change as it comes about. But thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to say anything?
Yes, I would. I think my subconscious just took over, because I just felt as though I went to sleep through it. And it just,
Perfect.
you don't remember any of it. And I just feel totally just, yeah, as if something's just gone. I'm just, yeah, just, I could sit. I held a crystal through the whole thing.
Nice.
And it was a last gift that somebody gave me before they passed away, and it was sort of
Oh.
I chose that, and but I'm listening to Edwina, I'm thinking, oh, I don't remember any of it. It was, I just thought, I'm just going to let it just go through me, and I'm not going to just consciously think about any of it. And that's what's happened. Yeah, my subconscious just, I know that my subconscious is taking it, because I just feel like
That's great, and it is totally perfect. There are people who conk out the minute I speak. You know, it's like, and I'm not offended. It's like that's the way it works. And
yeah,
so for you, you don't need to know all about it, but we will send out the replay, and you will be blown away if you watch it consciously and you see how much we did, and you were like in
yeah.
lovely dreamland.
Oh, it's coming in and out. Yeah,
Yeah,
But thank you very much.
total pleasure.
Thank you.
On that little, oh, go on.
I
Yeah,
was
go
going to add to that. I think it's really, it's a work in practice, being in that completely feminine state of receiving, which is my experience of what you just described, Janet. It's like there's no doing of anything. That's just allowing Inarra to completely pour into you this beautiful activation, and just being in trust that it's doing exactly what it needs to do. It takes practice. For those of us that have got particularly busy minds, and I'm looking at a few people in here that I know very well, and it's like, right, I should be doing this. Hang on, I need to get on the path. I'm not on the path, and now I need to be in the pool. And I like, it's just like, get that brain because I've got that brain, and to get to a point where you just completely receive and allow this to work through you. Trust that it's done something tonight, even if you don't necessarily feel it, and then you get to come back to it and do it again, and it's just this beautiful opening and allowing this receiving to happen. It can take some practice, but just trust that it's happening.
Yeah. And I have a sound bowl like that I actually do use at home, so that sound just immediately just releases a lot of things. Yeah.
Beautiful.
The way it was just amazing. Yeah, the music that was coming from it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was going to say to anybody who is here, how I'm going to send the replay is via email. And so will not have all of your emails. So if you would like, just pop your email on here and I'll just take note and I'll add it to the list that I send back. Okay. Sometimes it's great to do things more than once. And these activations in their own right, because they are on a certain moon, will always have potency forever with this theme, like extra potency. So all the activations I do, even if you see ones from a few years back, they would always have been done at a very specific time. It's not random. And so it's got all the energy of it as well, the energetics. But this is a super powerful time to chop. It's one of the 2 times in the year that is the most extraordinary to, like I myself am in this huge reinvention right now. There's this, I've done so many things for so long in a certain way. And then part of the symbol for that came up for me was that my 3 elder cats of 17 all died one after another over 3 months in July, June, and May. It was like boom, 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 like this. And all of a sudden, a bit like Edwina's kids, although I know cats aren't kids, but they were my babies. It was like, there's this enormous difference in my life. Everything I did, I had to organize, I had to come back, I had to think about it in a different way. And there's no surprise to me that this was the harbinger of a new era for me, right? And because of all the signs and indications, I've said this as well about this moment in time for everybody. This is marking a new era. It's not a new chapter. It's a new era. It's got weight to it. It's got and it needs you to be in touch with your highest values. So, we sell out all the time on our values. We go, like, it's okay, I'll just do this little thing there. Ooh, that was a bit shady, or it was a bit like a white lie, or it was a bit like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Actually, for this new era, it does matter. So if you are, an example is, I value generosity in people, in life, and I'm not talking about wealth. Some of the poorest people I've ever met in my life are the most generous. In India, inviting me in for a chai into their little hut, human connection, all of that. So when I meet or experience people who are not generous, and then there might be an opportunity for me to go into some kind of collaborative work with them, it's like a no. And that's the level that you need to be at right now. What are your highest values? And then is there anything that you are selling out on yourself? And I promise you, if it's something for money or more time or a bit of fame or this and that, it will come and bite you in the bum. We, at this era, this time of Aquarius, we've stepped into the Aquarian era, we've got to be on point here with ourselves. So, this is why I'm so glad we've been able to do this, because it will keep you on track for something that's very deep. Maybe at this point we could just talk a little bit for those of you who are not interested in anything to do with the doorway that Edwina and I are doing in September. It feels like a perfect moment, and I thank you for being here. And for those of you who'd like to hear a little bit about it, maybe I pass it over to Edwina and you say what you feel about
I
that.
would love to just finish up this section with a little gratitude practice, if that works for everybody, because I feel like part of what I'm feeling really passionate about at the moment is womanhood and supporting women to really connect in a much more profound and deep way. And to have a group like this come together is a gift that I want to just really honor and bring in how this comes about. It's not a random thing. So if you just take a minute to picture yourself as a brand, and I cry. I'm an emotional creature, and I will probably cry as I say this because this is how I feel about it. But if you picture yourself as a brand new baby that's just arrived in the world, these teeny tiny little fingers and these little toes, that tiny chubby bum, the little round cheeks. For those that know the smell of a baby, that unique smell, this tiny baby, the people that can't be on camera, you can picture them, but picture the women in this room, each woman in this room arriving at this earth, this tiny, precious, precious baby. And the parents, the guardians that were there, and then the grandparents and siblings, anybody else that came to see you. And the awe and the wonder, oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. You're given a name, the name that you are gifted. When you arrived in this earth, each of you look around and see the other women. See them as that tiny brand new baby that arrived. We get taken home, swaddled, wrapped, loved, fed. You arrive at primary school. This little girl in her clothes, and she's so proud of what she's wearing. It's like, oh, going to school, a little backpack. Letting go of mum's hand or grandma's hand, whoever took you to school. You look around, wherever you were in the world, in the UK, Europe, Asia, Australia, wherever, Poland. Each woman, see each woman in this room is in that journey, the journey they've been on through high school, first loves, first jobs, first cars, first houses. Firsts, all the firsts that happen. Your heart swells. The first heartbreak, the first job loss, the things that hurt, the pain, the uncertainty, the vulnerability, all the bits. Every woman in this room is carrying these wealth of experiences, growing into who you are today on this path. This journey called life. It's a journey. We're all on it. We're all falling over. Scabby knees. We hide beneath a pair of pants. It's like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody sees it. I fell flat on my face. We've all done it. Sitting in the corner of your bedroom with tears pouring down your face because somebody said something cruel. And you get up, you start again. So many lives, so many paths, just so much experience. Every step of the way, collecting wisdom, collecting information, collecting kindness, collecting scars. Right across the planet, under all those different full moons and new moons, sunrises and sunsets. And if you picture the globe that we live on, this beautiful planet called Earth, and all these threads that wrap around, you've all left a thread, you've all left a path, an energy field. And somehow, for some reason, we all ended up in the same room here tonight. There's a reason. It doesn't happen by accident. There are no accidents. There's a reason everybody's here. So I invite you just to open your heart to every woman in this room and feel the gratitude and the privilege of being connected to women all over the globe. And just let that fill you up as the most precious, extraordinary gift. Thank you.
That was lovely. It was just lovely, 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 all of it. All these lovely women.
Yeah.
I love women so much. I've had a long-term, like, champion of women somehow. And so I want to invite you to the next stage of some work that we can do together, that Edwina and I are doing together. And really, it is an utter privilege for me to work with Edwina. You know, it's rare, I would say, in life to meet your match. And I've met my match. And the two parts of what we bring is, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's like an explosion of, you know, next level is what I feel about it. And that was when we were coming up with what are we going to do together, because we feel like the universe spun us together a bit and it was very fast. One is Wise Women Stories, which is our podcast, which is an ongoing thing. We're about to do season 2. But the other was, we wanted to not just have a distant relationship with people who are listeners, but actually work with groups like this to be able to take you through an initiation of your wild intuition. And today we've opened what is the doorway. The doorway is the description of the program we're going to do, which is 6 masterclasses. I hear you, Sharon. So we'll be in touch about that. And thank you so much for being here. It's when I trained to be a high priestess many years ago, which is a story in itself, the way that we teach people are by initiating. It's not by, oh, here's a goal and we're going to get you to that goal, buddy, which is like that corporate America thing. It's like, who are you and where are you right now? And that's the starting point for the doorway. It's not about something that there's a goal out there. It's different. It's, you start to feel into your parts and your heart and your voice, and are you speaking the way that you wish to? Are you being heard the way you wish to? Are you being seen the way you wish to? What do you desire? And all of that goes into the beginning of the journey is the threshold. So you'll be standing on a threshold. That moment is so pure because you have no idea what's going to happen at all. And you can sprinkle little intentions around, but with the guidance of initiation, we will be giving you strong encouragement, if you like, to do certain inquiries. And it will be like the inquiries that will lead you, not the intention or the goal setting. It's different. It's this inquiry. And in inquiry, which is feminine, energetic, initiation starts to occur. And we've used the wild intuition because it was very much to do with Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is the first book that we've taken on in Wise Women's Stories. But wild intuition, I personally believe it's the thing that's going to set us free. It's the bit that, you know, I've got so many examples, which I'm not going to tell you right now, where it looked like I should do this. It looked like I must do that. And then I had this little, woo, you know, something going on over here. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Or, you know, it doesn't align with this other thing that I should or I must, or the next level seemed to be over here. And actually, it took a certain level of confidence or inner knowing to go, I'm actually going to go here, to this very strange little voice that's going, hey, follow me. And when I followed that, the journey has been insane, is the best way to describe it. It's been the biggest breakthroughs I've ever had. It's not the stuff that we think we should or we ought or we must or we, you know, here's a goal, I'm going to get that goal. It's this other stuff, this stuff that lights you up, and it will be hovering around you after what we've done today. Little sprinkles and sparkles of, ooh, you know what, my next level could, or I'm going to reinvent something. And so the doorway, when we're doing it, is at a time when, for the Southern, you will be entering into the next quarter towards going towards the summer solstice for you guys, right? So it will be, now it's time. And for us in the Southern, it's like leaves blowing off trees. It's like, it's time. So they unite in the timing of it, because it really is like we're working with the autumn equinox, and for you, the spring equinox. These are rapid changing moments. September is always like that. So the doorway is guiding you to your next level. And I know for some of you, it will be business, which I'm very focused on. It can be a total new way of life. For me, I think it's going to be an adventure. Nothing to do with business or anything. It's like, I think I'm going on an adventure. And I don't know what you feel, Edwina. Do you want to have a talk about what it is, our doorway?
Well, yeah, and you know, for the way that, and this is where the subtle differences in the way that Inarra and I see things and do things and connect to things will start to come in to create this beautiful, complete picture. So because I am such a visual person, I collect ideas and things from books and movies and women that I've known in my life. Wendy's been one of my greatest teachers. And, you know, I collect all these little bits and examples of what is it that I want to be? What do I want to be more like? What does generosity look like? What does sisterhood look like? What does being a healer look like? What is, you know, and then I collect these things. And the thing that I use a lot is notice what you notice. What are the things that you're noticing? What are you looking at that's like, oh, I so admire that in her. Oh my goodness, that generosity is amazing. Oh, wow. Imagine having, you know, like that, living in a place like that, or, you know, just noticing what you notice. You know, last year I became obsessed with looking at these women that are over 100, reading their stories, and it's like, that's something that just like really sparked something in me that was like, wow, you know, if I'm in my 50s, I'm like halfway. And what does that mean? And what do I want this to look like in this new part of my life? And so collecting these really tangible things and creating this vision, then you've got something that you're like, oh my gosh, this is what this is the doorway into the life that I want. And then we can like, okay, so what do we get to leave behind? What do we get to leave before we step over the threshold into this next new amazing chapter of vitality and passion and service? And, you know, what is that for you? So you know, my excitement with this program, obviously I've been doing this work for many years now with many of the women that are in this space and have been in this room tonight, but it is combining this with Inarra and her different take on things, and bringing in these wise women's stories, bringing in her wisdom that she's collected on the way, and combining what we have together just gives an even richer and bigger picture. So that's, you know, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I've got in my mind as I picture this beautiful doorway that we're going to be walking through together.
And on a practical level, just before we depart, so the doorway is opening on the 27th of September. That is the end of this cycle, actually, before we naturally go to our next level. It's perfect timing. So it starts on a Friday. The current price for it is $1,111 US, and we are offering payment plans for you. So if you're interested in having a 4-part payment plan or a 2-part payment plan, we are giving that to you. We would love to support you to come into it. And I think what I will say finally is, if you like this little glimmer of what we've done today, it's going to blow you away what we're going to do, because you've got two of us who are in our own right excited to be working with the other. So it's like, not only, oh, it's another program that I'm doing, which I love doing, but it's like, hey, there's this unknown bit. So I really feel that this is, it's a rare opportunity, shall we say. And I do feel that the timing has come about because we need people to step into their new level now. And I mean that for so many reasons. I am deep Aquarian, and I'm like, I believe that if everybody takes care of their own zone and heals it and works on it, we will get a healed planet very quickly. But if you don't do anything and you're hesitating and going, oh, I'm not sure, and all of this, well, maybe you need a bit of guidance into that wild intuition, and then you can go. So for me, it's like a big order of events to heal this planet. Yeah. And you are the healers.
There's also a divine timing with this. It won't be the only one that Inarra and I do. You are invited into this one, but if it doesn't feel like I want, you know, like, this is part of trusting that beautiful intuitive knowing within each of you. It's like, if this doesn't feel right, then something else will be right, or another time will be right. It's here for those that want it right now. And if it's not a right now, then we've got then season 2 of Wise Women Stories that's coming. Season 1 is there. The 9 tasks are all there that you can listen to again and again. Women Who Run with the Wolves continues to be one of the most extraordinary resources for all women. So Janet's just saying, oh, are they weekly masterclasses? It runs over, the doorway will run over 2 weeks. It's over a fortnight, but I can give you more of those details, Janet. And yeah, so, you know, so that's all there. The other place that's just probably, you know, if you want to be as connected as possible to Inarra and I, is via our social media, and the podcast, and on email. We're both, you know, both love writing and emails, so that's always there for you as well. However we can pour into you, it's what we're just here to do. All
Yeah.
right, I feel like we're complete, Inarra. Have you got a way
Yes.
that you want to wind this up? What's your
Well, no, I would just bring you. This was the candle that I lit last night while looking at the moon. I'll just flicker it at you and just say tonight we are about now we're about 6.5 hours away from the peak of the moon. So for the Brits, you'll see it at the end of the day at 7:25 in the evening. And look up. This is the moon that's known as being this golden red. It's the harvest moon. It's the lunar harvest moon. And so just feel it. We've done the work today. If you weren't here for the whole time, we'll send you the replay, don't worry. But just look up at the moon and feel that shift in yourself. You're reinventing yourself. And on that happy note,
yeah. Maybe bathe
so
in the
much
moon.
love.
Go and stick your
Go
face under
bathe
it.
in the moon. Yeah, feel it. And it's the supermoon, so it will be huge. Enjoy. And thank you for being here.
Thank you
Really,
so much for
really
being with
enjoyed
us.
it. Yeah. Mwah.
Bye.